Hey, welcome. Today we're jumping into something that sounds a little strange at first. How the end of World War II, one of the most destructive conflicts in history, actually ended up building the modern America that we live in today.
It kind of doesn't make sense, does it? How do you get from a global war to suburbs, television, and a whole new American lifestyle? Well, that's exactly the question we're going to unpack. Turns out a single moment in history can completely change everything for a nation. You see, for the United States, the end of World War II wasn't really a finish line. It was more like a starting pistol firing. It just kicked off this incredible period of change that touched, well, everything, from the economy to what the family home even looked like. So, where did all this change begin? Well, first things first, it started with money. A lot of money. The years after the war saw this economic boom like nothing anyone had ever seen before. It created this huge wave of prosperity that totally redefined the American dream.
Okay, so what was driving all this? It really boils down to three massive engines of change. First, you had years of wartime rationing, so people were just desperate to buy things again. Second, families were dreaming of their own little piece of land, which led to the absolute explosion of suburbs. And third, well, the country had a literal population explosion.
Let's zero in on that last one, the baby boom. This wasn't just a small increase in births. No, this was a demographic tidal wave. This huge new generation created an unbelievable demand for everything: schools, houses, cars, you name it. They were basically the fuel for the economic fire for decades. So you've got this perfect storm, right? Americans suddenly have money in their pockets, they're moving into brand new homes in the suburbs, and they have this massive new generation of kids to raise. The stage was totally set for a complete transformation of American life. But all this economic growth wasn't happening in a bubble. At the exact same time, there was another revolution going on, a technological one, and these new inventions were about to change daily life in ways nobody could have imagined. And the pace of innovation was just staggering. The polio vaccine didn't just save lives, it completely erased this constant, nagging fear that every parent had. All of a sudden, passenger jets made the country feel so much smaller. And the car? Wow. The car wasn't just about getting from point A to point B. It was the machine that literally built the suburbs. But out of all these new technologies, one really stands out for how it completely remade American culture: the television. Before TV, you had the radio and newspapers, but after, the entire nation could watch the same events, laugh at the same shows, and witness history unfold, all at the same time from their living rooms. It created this shared culture that just had never existed before. So you see what's happening here? You've got this booming economy on one side and this incredible leap in technology on the other. And they weren't just happening at the same time. They were locked together, feeding off of each other and creating this whirlwind that forged a whole new world. It was this really powerful cycle of change. It all started with prosperity. Families finally had money to spend. And what did they do? They bought all this cool new stuff like cars and TVs. And that massive demand for new goods, well, it just fueled the economic boom even more, creating more jobs and more prosperity. It was a cycle that just kept on spinning. I mean, really, stop and think about it for a second. Our economy that's built on people buying things, our sprawling suburbs, the television sitting in the middle of the living room, all these things we think of as normal can be traced right back to this one explosive period after the war. Which kind of leaves us with one last thought. That post-war boom was a huge, undeniable turning point in history. It was a moment when everything changed. And it makes you wonder, what are the big forces at play today? What great turning point might we be living through right now, and what will shape the next 75 years? It's something to think about.